Welcome to Talking About Sports, the Carolina's #1 sports podcast. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. All-star panel as always. Reggie Walker, William Wilson, I'm Kevin Casey. Lots to talk about, guys. Reggie, Carolina Panthers in the news. In fact, some key political maneuverings, if you will, in South Carolina. A practice facility is in the works. David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, wants a training facility, state-of-the-art, in South Carolina. 2 states, 1 team, as you point out, Reggie. And a lot of people, there's some grumblings. Why could it be in South Carolina? Or is the team going to move? But we were talking off the air, the importance of a practice facility. If you could discuss the importance of the practice facility and why this is a big deal.
Well, number one, first and foremost, you play the games at Bank of America Stadium. You don't want to go practice there every day. That's number one. Just in general, you want that different feel when you get there for game day. That's number one. Number two, they can't spread out and do some of the things that they'd like to do with a full-fledged training facility, a full-fledged training table, and some other things. They've made it work for years there. But right now they can't do some of those things. And to add to that, listen, when it comes time for free agency, that's a factor. Guys are looking at all of the things involved when they come to an organization. If you go to a place like Eden Prairie, Minnesota, where Minnesota has everything laid out, the Vikings, that is, they have everything laid out in Eden Prairie, then they play their games in Minneapolis downtown.
The Star in Frisco, Texas, for the Cowboys.
Frisco, Texas. You look at Washington, D.C., with that franchise there as well. Practice facility out at Redskins Park, out in Virginia. Games in D.C. Baltimore Ravens, similar concept. They're up in Owings Mills stadiums in downtown Baltimore. It's hard to lure free agents when you don't have all of the bells and whistles and the pieces that they're used to and that they see in other places. So it's one of those things to where I think this is imperative that they get this done for the long term of the franchise. And some people have an issue with the location. Listen, for those in Charlotte, it's not going to take these players away from the city, yada, yada, yada. It's just a different commute for them. It's going the other direction instead of coming into the city every day. And quiet is kept, and William, you know this, as somebody that lives within the city, the uptown area, not that many players live uptown.
No, they really don't. Some of your first and second year guys do, because they're rookies. They haven't got houses and stuff like that.
They don't have families yet.
Yeah, they want something close. They just hop on a scooter or whatever, go to the facility for practice. But yeah, they really don't live. I got one of the Bears players lives in my building now during the off season.
Right,
he'll shoot right back out. We get a couple of guys live in my building, but for the most part, nah.
Will, your voice is down a cylinder.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
you've been out in California and been on jet set and playing in, George Lopez's golf tournament this weekend?
Oh, yeah. We had a good time, too. But I was between allergies and travel and golf. It's been rough, boy, but
tough
still,
life. Now, Will, you're a businessman. Now, you're David Tepper. You own this franchise. You paid $2.5 billion for it, and you want a new facility. You want to bring, like Reggie points out, you're going to host potential free agents. You want your franchise. You didn't drop all that money in it just to let it sit there and decay. You want this new state-of-the-art facility. There's a big vote in the South Carolina legislature today about approving some type of offsets or incentives to give him. There's rumor they want their own exit on 77 to go into a new facility. Maybe some tax breaks, incentives, so they can help them build there. Maybe a reduction in taxes for the players and employees for a number of years. I guess it's the cost of doing business as a businessman. Do you see this as this is just the way it's got to be, and you want to keep the team here, and this is how it's got to operate?
Well, it's going to come down to the point of who wants it most. Everybody can say they want it, but until you ready to put bread on the table, that's when you know who's ready to get fed. So the same thing like what Humpy wanted to build the drag strip.
Right.
Concord wasn't gonna let him. He said, "I'll build it somewhere else." He gonna build a whole facility. They met him where he wanted to be because he wasn't bluffing. If Charlotte wants to keep the Panthers here, they gotta do something. That facility is old.
I will tell you this:
upfitting, putting new escalators and a new television screen in, basically, doesn't make the facility. When I look at Bank of America Stadium, I'm like, I know most college stadiums look nicer and more up to date than Bank of America Stadium.
Well, and I think the other thing, Will, to that point is if you get to the point to where you're not practicing there every day, you can do some other things in that facility because it doesn't look like there's going to be a new stadium built in the offing right away. But there are some things you can do if you're not practicing there every day within that building to improve the infrastructure as a whole. But right now you can't do either thing because you're trying to construct a practice bubble attached to it basically or next door, and you're trying to get some stadium improvements done, and you're trying to do South Carolina. Like, there's so many moving parts to this. Well, and I think the biggest thing
not
is...
Not really. There aren't many moving parts at all.
Actually, they're not moving at all. They're trying to move them.
Even if they try to move, not many moving parts. South Carolina is leverage.
Yeah.
Because if South Carolina says, hey, we'll give you everything you want, now North Carolina got to say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
And there are areas in this city that you can build a complex to allow them
across the street
to practice. You can go across the street.
Right across Moorhead, right there, Foundry property. Plenty of room right there to build a whole nice facility. Because remember, David Tepper also wants to bring soccer here.
That's exactly right.
You can use Bank of America Stadium as a soccer facility, a world-class soccer facility, and do what you need to do there, where you hold 72,000 people for soccer. Still have your practice facility, and you can your new stadium, and still be your practice facility down in South Carolina. So you can still do all of those things individually. Yep. Everybody win, keep your two-state. I don't think for the most part, the only people who care about two-state are the people in South Carolina that the rest of the world forgets that the Panthers are North and South Carolina. Do you think the people outside of Charlotte?
You comparing that to...
Well, I would argue, Will, to that point, I would argue once you get about an hour down 85, they're Falcons fans anyway.
Exactly.
So that's the other piece of it. You can play two states,
been wondering where
team.
they were. I never can find any Falcons fans. They're front runners.
Well, you can say two states, one team. That's a marketing thing. The fans don't process it that way. Yeah. They're either Falcons fans or Panther fans, or a lot of people in this area are Cowboys fans, Redskins fans,
Redskins fans
as well. So there's Steeler fans as well. There's so many fans in this area.
Look, I was just in L.A. and obviously with a bunch of athletes and stuff at the George Lopez tournament, and literally I was able to talk to a dude from Raleigh was there, and DL, some guys were talking, and the guy said he's from Raleigh. When I said Charlotte, everybody looked at me for all the Panther stuff.
Right.
People really consider the Panthers to be the Charlotte Panthers.
Right. That's exactly right.
They say Carolina, but they really consider, like the Minnesota Vikings, you think Minneapolis. You don't think St. Paul. You don't think anything else.
Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix.
Yeah, that's just how that works. And you can try all the marketing stuff you want to. That works well for the people who are in that area that it matters. No one else cares about that two-team, one-name, all that. They just don't care. But from an aspect here, from a leverage standpoint of getting everything you want, when you now you get a bidding war between North Carolina and South Carolina. Now you David Tepper can say, okay, I give you this, I give you this. Now who wants this part for the little piece de resistance, if you will?
That's right.
That's where it comes in. He's got all the leverage now. And he's got 2.9 billion reasons to do so.
The politicians they talk one thing and do the other. I remember, Will, you brought it up about the ZMAX drag strip. I remember Bruton Smith was saying, I'm thinking about doing this, and they're like, well, hold on, these Concord. I'm a city of Concord resident. Well, we're not going to do that. It's going to cost too much. And there were 4 city councilmen that came out against him, and Bruton Smith donated against, and he drummed up opposition to all those guys, and they all got voted out. Every one of them.
Look,
well, the other take away Charlotte Motor Speedway from Concord, you're
the other thing.
That's a fool's errand.
The other thing people better understand too is, at the end of the day, Tepper, if he wants to, he could just go buy a piece of land and do it himself. Yeah. Which is what Jerry Jones did. And guess what? There's a whole lot of people in North Texas that don't like that because they don't get a dime off of anything that comes into any of those facilities because Jerry took the bull by the horn.
You mentioned the Star in Frisco. I was there several years ago when it was being built. That area was built up. Jerry Jones had the foresight. He's a good businessman. He got a lot of the land there, and he built it there. But you know what he used as Will's favorite saying is, rich people don't use their own money. He didn't. He got that cost more than their actual football stadium, that whole facility. And it to your point earlier, Reggie, they host high school football games there. It's business, it's shops, it's retails, it's condos. It is incredible what a big center of commerce that is.
And Jerry getting all the money.
Jerry did that with other people's money, and he's reaping the rewards to that. And I think that they could do that here with a training facility with the Carolina Panthers, wherever they put it.
Jerry Jones created a 21st century ATM. What he did. He took other people's money, built this whole thing. Now he just
He don't worry about the balance because it's always money in there.
He just withdraws money from this facility. That's all he's doing. He's renting out the football field for this facility for this. And even as he was building it, he was selling sponsorships.
Yep.
So the money he spent, the sponsorships offset it. So when he gets all his money back, it's just a profit center because those sponsorships, again, like you said, keep coming to him.
He ran afoul of the league because he was doing so much sponsorship, he wasn't even including in the other teams on it.
But that's how the Dallas Cowboys have always been that way.
Yes.
Tex Stram did that.
Yep.
Tex Stram ran all their marketing. They didn't run it through the NFL. They ran it through the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. The Dallas Cowboys have always set the standard in marketing and in sports marketing. Whether you love them or hate them, that is what they've always done.
Can't argue
and they're
that.
continuing to do that. Now, the thing where people forget about David Tepper is the richest owner in the NFL.
That's right.
David Tepper can look at all of them and say, big bank, take little bank.
And take they little bank.
David Tepper say, hey, I want this for $4 billion and write you a check for $4 billion.
That's got to feel good.
You see what I'm saying? That's where
He can write me one.
David Tepper breathes rare air in a room full of rare air.
Yeah.
As we say, that's a different type of paper.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's it.
But I think that's only going to increase the value if he gets that done. Whether it be right here in Charlotte, like a lot of people think that South Carolina's leverage, or they might just say, okay, here it is. Here's the paper. Here's everything you want. Sign here.
If I'm David Tepper, I'm going straight to Fort Mill, and I'll tell you why. The taxes, because you're going to get the tax breaks coming in, but taxes are less in South Carolina anyway.
Yep.
And you will be the savior. You will be the Messiah of South Carolina.
Somebody has to be.
The Messiah of Fort Mill. That's who you will be, because he built a facility like that with all the growth that's already going on in Fort Mill.
Yep.
It will be insane what he will do for that city and that community. He will be the
all right. Well,
look what Kingsley did for Fort Mill.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back and we're gonna recap the Panthers draft, Reggie. And I think a very good draft. A lot of things you hit home runs on, you and Buck did. So we're gonna come back with more talking about sports right here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill.
I need a cup of water. Like.
Welcome back to Talking About Sports. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. Some audio difficulties from what Kevin Porter's coming in and your buddy Kevin Porter telling us about, so we appreciate that. We're working on that. We may be down a lap, but we're going to get our lap back sooner or later. Reggie, Carolina had, I think, a decent draft. I think a B+. The Redskins got an A+ draft, I might add. We did, I think we all did. You, me, and Buck, Charles Arbuckle picked Will Grier. I said it straight up. If he's on the board in the second or third round, maybe even the fourth, if he had slipped, they're going to take him. He lasts until the third. I think it's a very good pick. And I think they addressed their needs. They got a pass rusher. They got some offensive line help. Still a work in progress, but I think a very good draft and something to build on for Carolina, Reggie.
Yeah, not only did I think it was a good draft, I thought the fact that they were being aggressive was good as well. They actually, at the end of Thursday night, were trying to trade back into the late part of the first round. From what I understand, I think it was for the pick that Seattle had, one of the picks that Seattle had. I think Seattle had 2 in the late first round. But the Falcons ended up trading for that pick, and I think they picked an offensive lineman there. So the Panthers did move up later in the draft to pick an offensive lineman. So I like their aggressiveness to go get what they felt like they needed.
Do you like that guy? A lot of people are maligning the guy. He's the offensive tackle from, was it Ole Miss?
Yeah.
A lot of people are maligning that.
I mean, here's the thing, man. You can malign a draft pick all you want. None of us know if they're going to pan out or not. None of us. Zero people in this room.
He could be Jeff Otah.
For sure. It could be Jeff Otah. Here's another one. Remember Daquan Bowers, the defensive lineman that went to Clemson? He was the consensus number one player coming out of high school, and everybody thought, in 2 or 3 years he'd be the number one pick. Where's he at right now?
Where's Everett Brown?
Ed Oliver. Everett Brown. There's a whole bunch of guys that you can name, and then there's a whole bunch of guys that we can name that no one thought was going to be any good. Everybody runs to Tom Brady. That's easy. That no one thought was going to be any good and turned out to be really good football players. So draft picks, it's an inexact science. You can have all the data you want. You can check all the film you want. You never know if a guy is peaking in college. You never know if a guy peaked in high school. You just don't know. But at the end of the day, you address the needs that you have with who you think fits best what you do. And that's the other thing. Sometimes it's not about the best player in terms of skill set. It's about the best fit. And a guy has to fit what you want to do. And I think Brian Burns was a good pick because he fits. Regardless of what they're doing defensively, they feel like he can play first, second, and third down.
Well, the thing is, when you're putting a team together, whatever type of team it is, like you said, you want somebody going to fit your system, it's going to fit your scheme. But you also got to look at Too often, I think we look at these players like they got to walk out of college onto the team ready to play. That's why you got these really good coaches to coach them up. They look at them and see, they see something in it. They see the diamond in the rough.
Yes.
And this coach knows how to buff and polish and cut that diamond to make it flawless. So there may be some guys you got to go, I'm kind of iffy on it. And that's where you get the Terrell Davises.
Yeah.
That went 6th round, and then
Mike Anderson,
these kind of guys,
right.
Guys that go undrafted, Tony Romos of the world.
People forget Keenan McCardell was,
great guy.
He was an afterthought that Jacksonville just grabbed in the expansion draft that no one thought was worth anything. And look at that guy. Look what his career became. Yeah. Jimmy Smith was on his way out of the league. There are all kinds of players that you find if coaches know how to massage their skill sets the right way. We talk about this with Belichick all the time. Doesn't matter who he goes and gets. He understands that player's skill set and asks him to do what? What you can do, nothing more.
Exactly. Don't reinvent the wheel. Let them work within themselves.
That's exactly right.
Every coach says, let the game come to you. Play in your game. Play in your game. The best way to play in your game is to have your team set to play that game.
That's right. That's right.
And that's how that works.
And a prime example, we got a team that, I'll use an NBA example now. There's a team on the cusp of the Western Conference Finals, potentially in the Denver Nuggets. There's no superstar. There's no big name.
You ever heard of Nikola Jokovic?
Yeah, the big fella's good, but he's not. You don't hear his name like that until this year's playoffs.
Nobody can pronounce it.
Playoffs. But they've got a group of guys that all understand what they can do, and they do their job. And the coach asks them to do what their skill set fits, and this is why they are where they are in the playoffs right now.
Ask the San Antonio Spurs about how Denver works.
One team beats 5 individuals every time.
That's right. What they call it, be a fist?
Now, do you like
this doesn't win. This wins.
You like Reggie, what they're doing? That Ron Rivera wants to go to a multiple set defense, not the standard 4-3, not a standard 3-4.
Yeah.
He wants to, depending on down and distance, personnel. Sometimes we're going to be 3-4. Sometimes we're going to be 4-3. Well, and that's why a guy like Burns, I think, can play outside linebacker and defensive end.
Well, and that's the whole key to it. And now you can't predict anything based on the personnel on the field. And that's what's going to help this football team is, at the end of the day, doesn't matter who's on the field, for the most part, they want to be in a situation where they can do anything they want with any set of 11 on the football field defensively. That's the best scenario you can ask for as a football team in any scenario.
Do they have enough defenders, enough, as you call them, nickel backs, dime backs, I call them slot corners? Do they have enough guys who can cover guys?
Well, here's the thing.
What a guy like Eric Berry, who's on the street right now,
there's a yes and no to that. But there's a yes and no to that. Do we know if Eric Berry will fit their system? Maybe not. But here's what they do know. They know what's in their locker room. They know what Rashawn Golden can do.
That's a guy you're real high on him, Reggie.
They know what Corn Elder can do if he's healthy.
Not much.
The issue is these guys have not been healthy and had a chance to grow into what the Panthers are asking them to do. That's the evolution that's coming over the next season in their minds. Hopefully, if those guys can stay healthy.
Corn Elder was popcorn after he got roasted last year down the stretch when he had to come in. I'm just saying, Reggie.
How many games did Corn Elder miss before that?
A lot.
All I'm going to say is this.
I know.
What you need to do, because unless QB1, let's just secure in your quarterback position, whatever defense the Panthers are running, they better have a lot of stamina, because you can have the best defense in the league. Panthers have shown this in a few seasons.
If you can't move the ball.
If your defense spends 75% of the game on field, by the fourth quarter, you getting torched.
Yeah.
Dominican Sue's a free agent. Would he fit in here, Reggie?
No.
What, locker room or just on the field?
No, he just doesn't fit. He's a quintessential 4-3 penetrator. They've already got a guy like KK Short that can do that. I'm not sure he has the versatility in Sue
to play nose,
to move inside in a 3-4 scenario the way KK can. They've also got Dontari Poe here as well,
who's a big man,
who's more fit to play that 0-and-1 technique in a 3-4. I just don't think that need is that big to go get a Sue, especially with the kind of money he's going to command.
Now, Will brings up you bring up a good point. The offense has to move the ball. You got to get first downs to keep the clock moving, to keep your defense off the field. What playmakers have they added? They have a good group of smaller wide receivers. Olsen's a decent tight end. They got the guy last year, Ian Thomas, if that's right, Reggie.
Yeah, Ian Thomas.
Got McCaffrey. I think there may be did they get a running back in the third day? But they have to be able to move the ball to keep the defense fresh and off the field.
Yeah.
And the line, I think they've bolstered it, but can they block to keep Cam healthy?
I tell you what's even more interesting about that is, you hear all the time, McCaffrey and his size and is he big enough and yada. First of all, I think some guys are prone to get hurt, some guys just aren't, and that's just what it is. Christian's dad, Ed McCaffrey, was always durable. Was a guy that really took care of his body, and Christian learned that from his dad at an early age, and you can see the evolution of Christian's body, who seems to be very sturdy and continues to build his body.
But you can't run him in the ground. Look what happened to Earl Campbell.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting. Yeah, but the style is completely different. The style is completely different. But the other thing that I thought was interesting, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a picture that was floating out there at social media and some other places. It's a picture of Christian McCaffrey.
I saw that.
Curtis
trash.
Samuel and DJ Moore. And the thing that I thought was interesting, they're all pretty much the same size.
They're identical people, human beings.
So I'm tired of hearing that McCaffrey's too small.
No, he's not.
And that these guys are fine. They're all built very similar.
They're interchangeable people.
A playmaker is a playmaker.
This is what got me on that picture. Chris McCaffrey looks like the Hulk.
Yeah,
he's cut. Chris McCaffrey was the smallest guy in that picture. That rookie they drafted.
DJ Moore is built.
If Christian McCaffrey looked like the Hulk, what did that rookie that they had picked?
Magnus Vermagnus. Remember him from the Strongman?
Oh, yeah, dude, he was the man, dude.
I mean, that dude was.
DJ Moore is built. Yeah,
oh, my God. Magnus Vermagnus. But
I'm just looking at this picture. But this had it was like 7 guys on the team. But this guy was like a rookie last year that had him. I mean, he looked like he came out to cover a Muscle of Fitness. I'm like, but somehow Christian McCaffrey, but you really think about it, you know where that came from. But I think this is Chris McCaffrey's wall year. I think this is Christian McCaffrey's wall year. I think this is that year he hits that wall. I think a lot's going to be put on him because they're not too sure about QB1. And I think Chris McCaffrey is good at not taking those hard blows. That's how he's going to stay around.
Yeah, he's done a great job of that. Yeah, I agree.
But I think at some point it's going to catch up. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt. I'm just saying this little way to duck in the middle and then take off for 10, 15 yards, all stuff he does a lot of, that he's really, really good at. I think the defense is going to catch up to him. He won't be able to pull that off as much as he was.
I think this year is going to tell us a lot about his ability to adjust and North Turner's ability to adjust. And this entire offense is because Christian McCaffrey will be the focal point of game plans for defenses in 2019. He will be the focal point.
It's got to be.
Because no one else at this point, I mean, obviously, and I'm not saying he was the greatest player in the world. Funchess is not there anymore. DJ Moore is a young player as well that hasn't proven as much as McCaffrey. Curtis Samuel, same thing. You go down the list. The guy that's proven the most on this offense outside of the quarterback who's been an MVP.
So you're a defensive coordinator, Reggie, or you are going to stuff the box and say, we're not going to let McCaffrey beat us, and we're going to say, Cam, can you throw?
Whether it's run or pass, my focal point is going to be on 22. Whether he's running the football or catching it out of the backfield, I know that I've got to slow him down to slow this offense down. That's period, point blank.
I used to put a shadow guy. Like they used to put They put the spy used to put the spy on for Cam or
Michael Vick. Thomas Davis used to put Michael Vick. Thomas Davis.
I did it had it not been cut off. I just said that.
Oh, sorry. I'm good at that.
The best at it.
I know. I got to be good at something.
You are the Julius Peppers of cutting people off.
Oh wow. Wow. I'm almost as good as Jimmy Spencer about cutting people off.
But here's all I'm saying is, I wouldn't go do a whole bunch of defensive trickery because it's not like Chris McCaffrey gonna run over you. If you hit him, for the most part, he's gonna go down. You don't see him bust through tackles. You don't see him break a lot of tackles. You see he's very shifty. He's very quick. He gets that first step and he makes a move. But if you hit Christian McCaffrey, he makes business decisions.
Smart ones.
Yeah, he is. He's investing in his future, which means he ain't investing in extra yards.
CPI Securities, Bojangles, all those sponsors are good business decisions for getting down and getting out of bounds.
Yeah, until them numbers start to drop. When numbers on the field drop, numbers off the field drop.
That's how it works.
Cash rules everything around us.
Cream.
Speaking of DJ Moore, props to DJ Moore he visited some of the victims of the recent UNC Charlotte shooting. So props to DJ Moore for going out. And these are the kind of guys, Will, you pointed out. There are some guys that every time they do anything, there's always a camera crew around. I don't know how that works. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. But there are some guys who don't care. They just do it, Thomas Davis. They just do it because it's the right thing to do. So props out to DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm. To that point, Kevin, I cut you off on purpose because I didn't want you to change the subject. To that point, shout out to a lot of members of the Panthers organization last Wednesday was May 1st, Keep Pounding Day, and a lot of the people in the organization were at different places in the community, giving their time to different organizations and different aspects in the community. So that's one of the positive things, obviously, that the organization continues to do in the name of Sam Mills. So I think that's another one of those cool gestures. So shout out to a lot of the people that were involved in that as well.
And Greg Olson donated $2.5 million of his own money to I think it's the atrium or the hospital for the heart, for pediatric heart, because his son had that type of situation. My daughter happened to be in the hospital about 6 years ago when his son was going through all that, and I got to meet him then, and we talk when I see him a few times. But props to Greg Olson and DJ Moore and the entire Panther organization. We're coming back. We're going to talk some golf and maybe some NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs.
And some boxing, man. Cinco de Mayo last weekend.
Got to have some boxing. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. This is Talking About Sports. All right, welcome back to Talking About Sports. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill with William Wilson and Reggie Walker. And before we get any further, the Carolina Hurricanes have advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're poised to make a good run. They're one of 4 teams left: San Jose and St. Louis in the Western Conference. I just can't stand Boston, or the St. Louis Blues. And ADSN, Kevin Tolbert, Peter Kartrumpis, if I pronounce his name right. A good friend of mine, but I can't pronounce his name. He's one of those Greek guys.
Then he ain't that good of a friend of yours.
He is. But I've told him since day one I can't pronounce your name.
Well,
man.
You need to get that fixed. That can't be.
See, I'm just doing what everybody else is doing anyway. So props to
the. Better off just saying that. Then we would have believed he was a good friend.
Yeah, how about
My
that?
good friend Peter K.
But I can't pronounce his name. I mean, it's the way it goes, man.
Why you tell?
Props to the Hurricanes.
You tell too much on yourself.
Peter K. is going to be anchoring our Hurricanes coverage out in Raleigh at the RBC Center. How about the NBA playoffs? First of all, the Bobcats Hornets are not in there. No surprise there.
If you ever make a reference to the Bobcats again,
I did that on purpose because I saw Jared Dudley on TV. But they may as well be the Bobcats. They haven't done anything since they've been the Hornets. They ought to take their uniforms away. That's ridiculous. Rich Cho, those are nothing but yes men answering to Michael Jordan.
Aren't you a Bullets fan?
I don't like the Bullets either. I like the Spurs, who used to be the Dallas Chaparrals, who used to be the Virginia Squires. So
he likes the Spurs.
Yeah, all I'm saying
ain't nowhere near Virginia.
Yeah, but he's all about the. Well, but he said he started.
But George Gervin left the Squires to go to the Spurs, and that's why I'm a Spurs fan.
You're that old? Remember that?
I am that old, but I'm still young enough to take care of business. Believe me. I like what Reggie doesn't like. Chris Paul. Reggie doesn't like Chris Paul. He says he's the cheap shot artist. I like Chris Paul. Man plays with heart.
If you go back and watch this series, you will see a lot of flopping, flailing, elbowing, pushing off, all of the above. So anybody that has an issue with the way Draymond Green plays, watch Chris Paul on the other side of the floor. He does the same thing.
Look, I don't know.
He punched Julius Hodge in the groin in college, but other than that, he's been clean ever since.
Look, I don't know who likes Chris Paul. I don't know who likes the Spurs. But apparently, according to her, the fellas ain't liking Ayesha Curry. She felt a little. She said it bothers her a little bit. It makes her feel some kind of way that all these women throw attention at Steph, but no dude's really throwing attention at her like that.
Well, then she should take that as respect for her husband.
Yeah, that should be exactly, Reg.
That's one way to look at it.
And women disrespecting her. So if she wants to be upset that she's being disrespected by women.
She watching Real Housewives of the NBA?
No, she talking about men. No, the men not going at. No, I guess. Throwing props at her like women throw props at her husband.
Oh my god!
Which one I want to know, why does that bother you?
Yeah,
that shouldn't bother you. You come across as the super Christian. This should be bothering you. You should feel some kind of way. But I can understand.
All right.
We look outside this. But here's what all I'm saying: if you want Tess to be thinking the things you want them to think, ready to do the stuff they doing, you can't come across them as Holly Wholesome.
Holly Wholesome.
You can't remember.
Sweet Polly purebred.
Steph's rookie, maybe second year. She's like, these women don't need to dress whatever they need. She's making all those opinions.
I like the way they're dressed.
With all that being said, go ahead.
I'm saying is, if you're gonna set a standard, and she, by all accounts, a wonderful woman.
Absolutely.
A bastion of everything you want your daughter to be. Of honesty and devotion and dedicated, all this other stuff. If that's you don't, most cats, that ain't what they going, ooh, I want some of that. They ain't looking for the preacher. They looking for the hoe. They looking for the Instagram model. They looking. Let's just be real.
It is real, Will, because I mean,
what do we always said? Men want to date a hoe, marry a virgin.
All right.
So if Ayesha Curry want to get some props, she got to start acting trashier. That's not who she is.
The only thing I'm worried about with the Warriors right now is whether or not Kevin Durant can play in Game 6 and Game 7.
We better hope. And he's a Redskins fan. I will say this.
That's the bottom line.
Kevin Tolbert and I used to cover the Hornets back in the old days, and I can tell you from covering the Hornets, the original Hornets that were here, there used to be something. We got some great food here. We got some. The William Wilson, Reggie Walker wings here. We got some kind of a quesadilla, the chicken speedy pizza. Oh, I love that stuff. But Kevin Tolbert, I can tell you, from covering the NBA on a nightly basis, there are some questionable women, to your point, William Wilson, that are dressed in a provocative way. Let's just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. And they are looking to get the attention, garner the eyes and attention of the players. They're trying to get hookups, if you will. This was in the 90s, so and I know it's only gotten even more out of control with the social media culture that it is today.
Yeah, so your Instagram. I got a friend of mine.
You got lots of them.
That I do. But I got a friend of mine, very attractive, works out a lot. She's into working out, legit into working out. But she wears seductive clothing, whatever, and she gets a whole lot of likes. When she's trying to say something provocative, it's like crickets. And I told her, I said, look at your Instagram feed. These cats ain't following you for what you got to say. They follow you for what they can think about while they looking at your feed.
Wow.
If they want something provocative, they can get a book. They can go anywhere else for that. They can find a lesser universally appeared as attractive woman to find those words from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to call anybody ugly because everybody beautiful to somebody. But there's people that fit a category what we call universally attractive. Mm-hmm. Where a woman Halle Berry walk in, nobody says she ain't attractive.
No, that's right.
Whoopi walk in, some say she attractive, some say she ain't. So all I'm saying is, if you want to walk in and you want the attention, you're going to get the fish with the bait you use.
How did we get here?
I was about to say that, Reggie. I'm going to throw a name out to you, and he's famous.
Kevin just said, "Whole housewife."
Hey, how about remember Mark Grace, or the former Arizona Diamondback and Chicago Cub, Reggie? He had the term slump buster. You remember that?
And we've gone further. We've gone further down the drain.
All I wanted to do was bring that name up just so I could get that reaction.
I'm going to try to bring
Reggie
this
Walker.
back around to the fact that
anybody going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks?
Listen, that basketball team right now, I mean, they look really good. And you know,
Malcolm Brogdon's not even playing.
Let me make this point because I've often said this about the NBA.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Oh, thank you. Walk off.
The NBA is the quintessential players and talent-driven league. This is the same coach that was in Atlanta, and people were like, this guy should never get another coaching job. And now he's in the Eastern Conference Finals because all of a sudden he goes to a team that has talent.
That's ridiculous.
And that's why I tell people all the time, I'm sorry. In the NBA, I'm not giving a coach credit for more than 5 games.
Right.
A great one, maybe 10. In terms of wins and losses.
So that's Tyronn Lue right now. But I like Coach Budenholzer, former Spurs assistant. He did the best he could in Atlanta with a very dysfunctional organization. He just needed to get in a better organization, and he's got better players.
No, he didn't need a better organization. He just needed better players.
Well, he got that too.
And that's all it comes down to.
The Greek Freak and Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Middleton.
The NBA is the one league where you can go from worst to best in one offseason because you get certain players coming in the door in free agency.
Yeah, well, think about it. 2 players is 40% of your starting team.
40% of your starting team, and a lot of times 80% of your salary cap.
So the Knicks could go from the lottery to first if they say get the fixed lottery with Zion Williamson, Kevin Durant, or say Kyrie Irving or Kemba Walker.
Here's the thing: they can get them both and draft Zion.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
They've got enough cap space.
They got enough. I mean, if I were a GM, if I were a Mitch Kupchak, if you will, R.C. Buford preferably. I would take a Kemba Walker over a Kyrie Irving.
Well, don't say that about R.C. Buford because he ain't got the cap space, so that doesn't work.
I'm just saying if I was a GM.
And you're not trading DeJounte Murray or the kid that started all year this year.
Derek White. No, I'm not.
For Kemba Walker.
No.
Because they're young and they have manageable contracts.
Yes. I'm just saying if I was a GM, generic GM, and if I was running the Knicks, let's say, or any team that's looking for a guard, I'd rather have Kemba Walker over Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, that sounds good. You got to get them, though.
Well, that's true. But, I mean, Charlotte's against the cap. even if they renounce Kemba or let him go, and I think Lamb, they're still up against the cap.
They are still up against.
So I mean,
and you know why?
Nick Batum.
Because no, it's not just Nick Batum. You got to understand.
It's the Marvin Williams,
understand
Cody
the
Zeller.
CBA. You got to understand the Kev. You got to remember the CBA requires every team to spend 85. I think it's 85% of the salary cap.
Floor and a ceiling.
Right. The floor is 85% of the ceiling.
The ceiling is the roof.
I mean, that's just crazy to me. And that's why nobody has money.
They're like driving at speed. Minimum speed is 40 miles an hour. Maximum speed 55.
It's like
crazy.
trying to be Denny Hamlin and driving down pit road without getting a penalty, which doesn't seem
NBA's
to happen in
version of
every
restrictor
race, by the way. No,
there's my NASCAR reference for the week.
I got one of my college teammates likes the Milwaukee Bucks.
What sport did you play in college?
Oakley Blade, and you know what I'm saying.
Too. I'm like,
I don't.
One of your what?
He likes Milwaukee, but he's so arrogant. I got to root against him every time I turn
What
around.
sport did you play in college?
Soccer and wrestling.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
I did not know he played soccer.
Yeah,
Good feet.
Remember Shep Messing?
Stop it.
Washington.
Don't make references.
That was Washington.
Don't make
I figured
references.
you knew that. Anyway, our wrestling team was decent, but one of my teammates, he's so arrogant about the Milwaukee Bucks.
We got to go to break now, don't we?
I hate that. But I don't see anybody beating them, though, Reg. And I think Houston's got the best chance. Guys like Chris Paul, who was it, Capella, and Aaron Gordon, is that his name?
Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon. These guys are outplaying the war. They're out warring the Warriors right now. They're beating them at their own game right now.
Well,
I think
that's what you do in the playoffs. It's you know what your superstars and great players are going to do. It's whether or not the others can help you, as Shaq says all the time. The added piece of that is until Game 5, Klay Thompson had not been shooting the basketball well.
Where's he been?
Steph still didn't shoot it well in Game 5.
It's been an APB out for Klay Thompson.
And so here's the whole thing. If all of a sudden the Warriors can shoot the ball like they're accustomed to, and the Eric Gordon's been good all year, but the PJ Tuckers and Iman Shumperts and Clint Capella's go back to shooting the basketball the way that they normally do, I think regardless of Kevin Durant, I think this series is over and Golden State wins. If those guys continue to play as well as they are, especially without Kevin Durant, then Golden State could be in some trouble.
They got to get Kevin Durant healthy, or else I don't think it's going to be a long run. But finals prediction, like who's getting there? Milwaukee, Golden State?
Listen.
Who else left?
I mean, in the West, I'm not sure Portland is getting enough from their front court consistently,
Injuries.
particularly at the forward positions.
Right.
To find a way to get past Denver in the way that they share the basketball
Denver's playing
and
out of
use
their
the
minds.
extent of their roster to score the ball. So I'm looking at Denver getting to the Western Conference Finals right now. And look, until Golden State gets beat, ain't nobody beat them. So I'm going with them.
Beat the man. So
I got Denver and Milwaukee.
Well,
I'll tell you what. You get
Seth Curry plays for Portland, and he was
Denver
lights
and
out the other
Milwaukee
night.
in the finals. That's going to be interesting because I know people love Greek Freak, but I know the league does not want Milwaukee and Denver in the NBA finals.
What is Milwaukee media market, like around 30?
But
Denver's at least top 15.
Here's where I've been thinking about this for most of the season. We talk a lot about the media markets. Media markets have changed.
To me, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, media market has changed. Social media and globalization and all this, media markets have changed.
24-hour news cycle.
Yeah, all this stuff. Your media. This is the new TV. This is the new market.
And I'm gonna make that point later.
Are you saying you're not beholden to ESPN and all the traditional sources and people?
I haven't watched. Contrary to what Kevin Tolbert thinks, the sun does not rise and set with ESPN anymore. That went out with two-tone acid wash jeans. Right now,
I think I still got some in the.
Well, see,
the last time I can't remember the last time I checked for something news, sports related, where I actually went to ESPN. Now, there's some people that still do. ESPN will always be relevant, but I don't.
Well, the other piece of that.
No one's looking at that. They looking at this.
The other piece of that, though, while I understand what you're saying, the other piece of it is everybody, all of these entities, whether it's ESPN, Fox, whoever it is, everybody's got an app.
Yeah,
everybody's got an app. So people may not. I mean, look, even cable companies.
Yeah.
You can get it on your phone. If you've got the right app, you can watch your full cable package from your phone.
Yeah.
If you got the app.
And as an advertiser, I can geo-target. I can micro-target my demographic to the point I can say I want 18 to 25-year-olds that watch these TV shows globally, nationally, regionally, statewide, locally, however we want to do this. So I can reach my people all over the country. So I don't have to have the New York market.
That's right.
I've got the United States as a market.
That's right.
I can take my slice of the United States. Instead I got, because New York, you got 11 million people.
Ride this into the end.
But of those 11 million people, if only 5 million of them are your actual potential customer demographic, then what's the point?
Right.
You paying a bunch of money for add-on. No.
That's a good point, Will, because I was just reading the Cincinnati Reds baseball news on one of their on through the Bleacher Report, and then I get an ad for a wrestling show at the Cabarrus Arena, like a couple miles from my house. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Because I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought you invented it.
No. So now as a marketer, if I want to reach people who wear suits, why would I go to ESPN where they're going to say I got to do a generic commercial for millions of dollars, where I can spend $2,000, reach almost as many as my customers that I'd reach on ESPN directly, be able to track it, come up with quantitative numbers and metrics that work. I can calculate my ROI versus on CPMs. So I can look at what's my CPM here. I can't get a CPM from there.
I don't even know what that is.
So, but you're not, because the contracts that ESPN have, they can't do that and wear them for free. They can't say it. But why would I have to pay to do that? I can pay less money and get my CPMs down to 3 to 4 cents a CPM and get. This is what happened when dinosaurs try to talk to track stars. You may be big and be in history books, but you don't understand it. That's what I'm saying. The market has changed. I don't have to get a big time star to go on here. I can get a micro influencer with 5,000 followers that has true engagement. My CPMs are 2 cents a CPM. So for every 1,000 people I reach, it's 2 cents versus I'm looking at how many people ESPN says are their subscribers, not how many people I reach. So I look at my ROI versus my CPMs don't even come close to each other. I'm throwing money away on ESPN.
All these terms,
that
man.
That is business and marketing today, my friend. No, it's not the same thing.
Well, when y'all get through with that, I'm talking about sports. I don't know what y'all doing.
I can make $100,000 on $2,000 on ESPN to make $100,000. I need to spend $2 million.
Those are some big terms that I need my buddy, teammate Pat Moriarty, to get me through that class like he did biology one year. Wells Fargo, do you do anything with that?
I really don't know what's going on, baby.
Will, do you do anything with the Wells Fargo? Do you give them a jacket the winner?
No, not to that, but
all right.
I got friends that played in it.
Who's the guy? What's his name? Max Homa. Mm-hmm. He won. Had a pretty good round. I'm sitting there watching Kevin Tolbert and all of our ADSN people. Mountaineer Mike Freer out there. That was a pretty good story. The guy, I like how he said in the post game or the post round coverage. He's like, job security is a really important thing because winning that tournament gets you like exemptions for like
2-year exemption.
And by the way, before we go any further, how about props to? Well, I'll save that for last call. But I like the fact that the way the Wells Fargo was set up. I like the way this guy came in, humble guy, playing on the web.com tour. Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Had a great round. Put four together. He's a champ.
There it is. And forever he's in the books.
That's the thing you got to love about golf. You're not playing against anybody. You're playing against the course.
Yeah.
And it's your job to beat the course, regardless of what anybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. You just go play the course.
Yeah.
And you deal with the rest. You deal with the results the way they come in. But I mean, look, man, that tournament is always a good draw. It's always entertaining. The Green Mile, on the back
major
nine
or sixth, depending on who you ask,
is always what's that?
It's either the fifth or the sixth major. That and the Doral.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the sixth major because
you give Doral the
Sawgrass.
Okay.
No, Sawgrass. What are you talking about?
Yeah, TPC.
TPC, the one with the island.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, you're bugging.
Anybody got a problem with Tiger Woods getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom? If that's what it's called.
Yes, I do. For doing what? Winning a golf tournament?
Well, he's won a lot of them. And maybe he's come back and persevered over trying circumstances.
No, it's interesting you say that because
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to be devil's advocate.
Van Gundy talking about that today, and he read the definition of what that medal is about.
Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus have won them.
With all that math, and what that's about, the definition of the medal. And he made the point, he said, regardless of who the president is, with what the definition of receiving that medal is, he'd like to know what Tiger Woods did to earn that medal.
He won a tournament. He went to work and did his job.
A lot of night putting, and he's persevered.
I don't. When I look at the people who have won that medal before,
Charlie Sifford.
Now, but Charlie Sifford broke barriers.
That's what I'm saying. And Tiger Woods named one of his children after him.
Yeah. So when I look at this, and this is not I hate on Tiger Woods because I like Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I know you do.
But it's just when you use people for props, you dwindle and diminish the people who really worked hard to earn that medal. If Tiger is worthy of winning the Medal of Freedom, he should have won it last year. Now, Tiger, with his Tiger Woods Foundation, has done a lot of stuff for kids and STEM and all that kind of stuff.
But wouldn't it, coming off winning a major, make it more impactful?
Impactful to who? We knew who Tiger Woods was before then. What it does, if you got to wait till after he wins a major to say, I'm going to give it to you, no, it makes it a publicity stunt. That's what it does. It cheapens it. And for everyone who won that medal before then, it says, to me, it puts a stain on that. I don't think he should have won it for that. If you wanted to give it to him because of the work he's done off the course with STEM and all that stuff, albeit because Tiger came in, he said 10 years ago, golf is his stepping stone he's using to build his foundation for what he wants to do to help kids. He said that 10 years ago.
Now, doesn't he make more money designing courses, Will? Is that what you were telling me once? That he makes so much money, people wanting to put his name on their courses, and he designs and stuff like that?
Tiger makes more money just showing up and get appearances than he makes actually winning golf tournaments. And Tiger used to win a lot of golf tournaments.
He's pretty good.
Again, when you give people medals and then you started doing – this person had to bust their tail and work for 50 years to do something, and you get this guy one because he did this because it makes you look good.
Before we get to last calls here, real quick, Reggie, your TV guy, what do you think of the XFL TV deal? Or TV deals, plural.
Well, we don't know how much money they're getting out of it. I mean,
they're going to be on at least.
Yeah, well, the AAF was on, but clearly they didn't get that much out of their TV deal.
Buck didn't get paid the last few weeks. We know that. So,
you start doing the math, it comes down to how much money they're actually getting out of the TV deal. But it'll be interesting to see. I still think that every potential football league is not going to survive if the NFL doesn't help them survive. That's just my opinion.
To allocate certain players, like I don't know how many teams are in the XFL, 8. So that means 4 teams could allocate players to each franchise, like some practice squad guys.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that because if a guy gets hurt, which is what here's the thing. If the AAF couldn't do it with Bill Polian and Hines Ward and some of the guys that were running that thing, if they couldn't get the NFL to play ball, you think Vincent McMahon is going to do it? I don't buy it.
McMahon.
I just don't buy it. I could be wrong, but I don't buy it.
What do we need to do? We need to get Mark Zuckerberg.
Real rich people. Tepper.
No, Tepper ain't got this kind of money.
Oh, okay.
You need Zuckerberg. You need the kid that started
Amazon,
Twitter.
Yeah, that dude.
Jeff Bezos. Those guys. You need to get somebody who's got $15 billion. They can throw it to us and say, NFL. I'll play big bank with you.
All right, last 3 minutes here. Last calls down the line. Reggie, what do you got?
Cinco de Mayo, man. On the 4th, actually, May 4th. One of the better fights we've seen in a long time. Canelo Alvarez, Daniel Jacobs. I think Daniel Jacobs got started a little bit too late in that fight. He gave away a few rounds early. But it was a good, close fight. And looking forward, he's going to move up, I think, Daniel Jacobs to 168. And fight at super middleweight. It's harder for him to make 160 right now. But I like what's going on in boxing right now. Outside of the heavyweight division, that's still a joke. But a lot of big fights are coming together. Now there's some discussion about maybe Canelo and Errol Spence down the line. So some really potentially big fights coming together in those middleweights. And Canelo Alvarez is at the center of it. I had a chance to watch the fight on Saturday. And then watched it again Sunday morning just to make sure I saw what I thought I saw.
Okay.
And it was indeed an entertaining and good fight with 2 of the best fighters in the world in the ring. And shout out to Boxing, man, for getting that thing put together.
Right on.
It was a good fight.
Will, what do you got?
My shout out, I'm going away from sports. I want to give a shout out to Riley Powell, the young kid at UNC Charlotte who probably saved countless lives by tackling the gunman. Apparently he got shot 3 times tackling that gunman, and lost his life at the shooting at UNC Charlotte.
It was an ROTC, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's heroism.
Full military honors.
And it should be. He should get full military honors. He should get a posthumous Medal of Freedom, and any other medal available, because that kid had his whole life ahead of him, and he said he stood up for what America is about. He stood up and what the military is about. He embodied what the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines is all about. Saying, I will give my life for yours, even though I don't know you. I will do what I can to protect you. The bullets started flying. People ran one way. He ran the other. That is heroism.
All right, first of all, Will, props to my former neighbor, Mr. Ed Weaver, who served on the USS Skate 578.
Submarine.
I told you he's a submariner. I love Mr. Ed. He's my neighbor. I gave him a lawnmower a few years ago. Now that I'm moving to a place that has a house, I need it back. He says he lent it to somebody else and they ran off. So I'm sorry about my luck. But anyway, props to Mr. Ed for serving on the USS Skate 578. And my prop, Will, nothing compares to that. That's the best one I think I've heard since we've been on the air. I'm just going to say props to the USGA for allowing John Daly to ride in a golf car.
Yeah, you text me about that.
John Daly is going to be able to, and he's a draw. You want people to watch your golf tournament? Get John Daly in there. John Daly in a cart is going to be able to put up. I think he's going to be competitive. I mean, it's a tough course, and he's on the Champions Tour for a reason. But I think he's going to be competitive.
We've come a long way since Casey Martin.
He gets to ride one on the Champions Tour, and I say, you know what? Let John Daly have a golf cart.
I agree.
For Kevin Tolbert, Reggie Walker, William Wilson, I'm Kevin Casey. This has been Talking About Sports. So long for now.